Hey guys, it's the House of AC, and I'm going to teach you what's the best way to maximize your money in real estate. It's through house hacking, and it doesn't take a ton of money. I get a lot of first-time home buyers saying, I've got $25,000, $30,000 saved up, which is great start. That's a lot of money. How can I put it to its best use? How can I maximize my money? Well, a lot of times as a real estate agent, I get clients come to me that say, hey, my dad says that I have to put 20% down, or Susie Orman says I've got to put 20% down, don't pay the PMI, things like that. And they want to buy a single family house because it's a safe investment. They want to keep their monthly payments down. And well, if you kind of run the math that way, you're only going to be able to buy a $150,000 property. Now I say only, that's a very large amount of money, $150,000 house, and your payments are going to be about $800 a month. And that's not bad, right? Someone who's probably renting for $800 a month was able to save up $30,000. Is that the best way to put their money to use? Well, you know me, I like to look at it on a spreadsheet. So let's see what a spreadsheet says. Well, here you go. House price, $150,000. If you put 20% down payment, well, that's $30,000. That's your savings. That's what you came to me with, saying you wanted to maximize and that money and do something safe, and it's going to be in your best interest. So your mortgage is going to be $120,000 in this scenario. Payment $540, insurance about $60 a month, maybe taxes $200 a month. You know, these are all variable. It really depends where you're buying and where you're looking. But in this scenario where I am in my market, this isn't completely unheard of. And your totally monthly expenses are $800. And this home buyer feels great because they're saying, wow, I own something. I was renting for $800. Now I own something and I'm paying $800 and I'm doing what's best, and I avoided that PMI. Well, I say, well, that's not the best way to put your money to use. If you're willing to house hack, you are going to drastically change your finances. Let's look at that scenario. But let's first define what house hacking is. Basically, this is a term where you buy a small multifamily, 4 units or fewer, where you live in one unit and you rent out the other. So let's take the same scenario. Someone who comes to you and says, hey, I've got $30,000. What's the best way to put this to use? First, I would see what the FHA loan limits are in your town. You could easily Google FHA multifamily loan limits and then your city name, or you can go to the HUD website. Here I am on HUD.gov. I can look at the FHA mortgage limits, and I put in Atlanta, which is my location. And this tells me, wow, in Atlanta, Sandy Springs, I could buy a $415,000 maximum loan. So that could either be with 3.5% down, 5% down, 20% down. They would only loan me $412,000 on a single family. However, they'd loan me $528,000 on a duplex, or a $638,000 on a 3-family, and $793,000 on a 4-family. Now, a lot of people freeze right here and be like, that's great. I can't afford an $800,000 mortgage. And I tell them, yes, you can. You just don't realize it. So I just quickly searched on the MLS here in my area in Atlanta, and there's one in Norcross, a quadruplex here. And this is where I looked at Unit 1 gets $1,200 a month, Unit 2, $1,100 a month, Unit 3, $1,100, Unit 4, $1,200 a month. If you're applying for a mortgage, they look at this income, the tenant's paying income, and they add it to your income. So even though you may not be able to qualify in your eyes that you can actually buy this and cover this larger mortgage, a mortgage company is going to say, wait a minute, this rental income, we're just going to apply it to your income to make sure that you can pay for this loan. So basically, the mortgage lender is saying, hey, I understand you're buying an investment property that's going to be kitchen. I understand you don't have the income now, but once you buy this property, that income will become your income. So when I underwrite it, I'm just going to count that income as your income right now. And what does that look like on a spreadsheet? So if we bought that quadruplex for its asking price of $650,000, you'd only have to put $22,750. Assuming that you had $30,000 to start with, or maybe you only had $25,000, you'd be able to get this done. Sure, there's going to be closing costs. Maybe there's some repairs and fix-ups you have to do. But if you came to me with $30,000, you've got $7,000 of wiggle room here to get it done. Your mortgage would be $627,250. Let's fact check that right now with the mortgage calculator on Google. So here we are. If you get a 3.5% interest rate, it's $2,817. I rounded that up to $2,820. Let's keep the math simple. Insurance is going to be $100 a month. That's not completely unheard of. Taxes, it said the taxes were going to be about $4,500. I rounded that up. Let's call it $400 a month. And vacancies and repairs, sure, there's going to be some. We can budget at $180. It's probably on the low end, but you're buying a property that already have tenants in it, so we really don't have to budget for vacancy that first year. And your monthly expenses are $3,500. And that is when a lot of people, their eyes bulge out of their head and say, Alan, I wanted to only spend $800 a month, and I only have $30,000, and my dad and my mom and Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey told me to not do this. You're making me buy a property more than I can afford, and it's going to cost me more than $800 a month. And this is where I tell you, hey, everyone you're getting advice from is completely wrong and is an idiot. So I apologize I have to use those words, but it's the truth. Let's look at what happens if you do move forward with buying this property. And I know you're going to have to live in one of these properties, so why don't we change this to 0? Because that's where you're going to live once you buy this property with your 3.5% down payment. Well, you're actually living for free. If you would have bought that single family home that we walked through at the beginning with 20% down, because that's the safest and that's going to keep your monthly budget the lowest it's ever going to be, well, you're paying $800 a month. But if you house hack in a small multifamily, maximizing your FHA returns, well, you are not going to pay anything. $3,500 in monthly expenses, $3,500 in income. You are living for free. I'm actually saving you $800 a month because I talked you into buying a more expensive property. Now, this is not the way everyone thinks. This is not the way Susie Orman thinks. It's not the way probably your parents or someone in your life who talks to you about real estate, but they've never done it. This is the way I did it. This is how I purchased my first multifamily. And I got paid to live in my own house. Now, sure, there's going to be surprises. You're going to be responsible for the repairs. You're going to have some vacancies some months. But guess what? You would have been paying $800 a month in the other scenario. So what I would recommend is just save $800 a month as if you were paying rent. And that $800 is going to add up quickly. And if you ever have a surprise expense, you're going to have it because you've been pretending that you were renting the whole time, or you were pretending you bought a single family house that had $800 in expenses. And remember, that single family house is still going to have expenses, and we didn't even budget for it. We didn't budget for a new roof or a new HVAC or anything like that. Here, we are budgeting $180 a month. You may not have to spend it, but we've budgeted for it. So here we've planned for the rainy day expense fund, and the other one we didn't, and we're still coming out way ahead. But you know, that's not the only benefit either, right? You have this much, much bigger mortgage, and that mortgage payment is broken down between principal and interest. Let's see what that looks like on an amortization calendar. So if we look at a more detailed mortgage calculator, this one has an amortization schedule. We enter in the same number, $650,000. Your down payment's 3.5% of that over 30 years. The first payment right here where my mouse is, you're going to be paying $1,800 in interest and close to $1,000 in principal. But here's the thing, you aren't paying that. Your tenants are paying that because that's part of your mortgage expenses, right? And your tenant's rental income is going to be paying your mortgage. So your tenants are paying down $988 of your principal balance on your mortgage every single month. So if we go back to this screen, your monthly expenses is $3,500. Your tenants are paying $3,500, but your mortgage payment, which is already covered by your rental income, your tenants are paying down $988 of your mortgage. So the way I look at it, and the way you should look at it, is you're getting paid about $1,000 to live in your own house. And this is including the PMI with your 3.5% down payment. So people are so afraid about PMI. I've got to put 20% down. I got to be what's smart with my money. I want to get my expenses down. And here I'm showing you, hey, You want to put as little money in every property as possible, and you want to get as big as mortgage as possible. And you can do that through house hacking, FHA loans on multifamilies, and change your financial future. Why not get paid a profit to live in your own house? Now imagine you do this for 1 year. You're going to save so much money. You would have been paying $800 in rent by not buying anything. You would be paying $800 on a mortgage if you bought a single family. Here, you pay nothing and you're making $9,888, not to mention tax breaks. Through depreciation, if you are making a profit, if you weren't breaking even, say you're making $200, $300 because you're able to raise the rent in those other rooms, $1,200, $1,300 a month, you're not paying taxes on that because there's tax breaks for real estate investors through depreciation, which means you don't pay taxes on any income you make up to a certain amount. But typically in this situation, you won't have to pay any taxes. Also, if you go to sell this property 2 years in the future or more, and you've lived in it for 2 years or more, guess what? No capital gains taxes. As of right now, you don't have to pay any taxes in a primary residence, even if it's a small multifamily. If you live in one unit and you increase the value and you sell this for $750 in 2 years, that $100,000 is tax free. So this is the fastest way to invest in real estate. It does require you living in the property. That's the one catch. But if you have some flexibility in your housing arrangements, this is what's smart. This is smart money. This is not something you're going to learn from Susie Orman or Dave Ramsey or someone in your life who is not into real estate. This is step one that everyone should do if possible. This is really going to change your financial future. And this is what I would do if you had $25,000 to spend, if you're a first-time home buyer, or if you've got some flexibility with your living situation. This is your fastest path to house fire. So go out there, get it, go find that deal. Read about it in my House Fire book over here, actually, or listen to my podcast, House Fire. And this, as a real estate agent, was I teach my clients. And if you're a real estate agent listening to this, I talk about this on my podcast, Agent Upgrade, or how to be a better real estate agent. And I teach that by making my clients into successful real estate investors. So all this information is for you, and this is a video you should send to your parents who tell you, got to put 20% down on a single family. Hopefully they'll look at it this way, that by maximizing your money through leveraging your money, you're going to get much better returns and be richer for it. Thanks for tuning in the House of AC. I'll see you next time. Please like and subscribe this video. I need your love. The more love you give me, the more videos I can make, and more people can hear this message about changing their life. Thanks guys for tuning in. See you next time.